Gentlemen, the time has come once again to discuss things.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Geeky Gentlemen. I am Sid Part 2. Joining me today is...
Hey, what's up? I'm that Mac Kid.
And I'm the Doctor.
No, you're not.
God damn it.
Oh, yep. And we are a bunch of fuck-ups. That's what we are. Because
Hell yeah.
this episode is going up on October 3rd, and that should have been the beginning of Ghouly Gentleman Horror Month.
Shit, I forgot about that.
That's okay.
Quick to something we've all seen.
No, it's fine. It's fine. We watched it. You guys are excited to talk about it, so I don't want to skip it. It's the new hotness. I'll just say at the beginning of the episode, the rest of the episodes this month will be horror focused. So anyway, what are we talking about instead of a horror movie, Steve?
Well, I guess depending on how you define horror, there is a horror element to this just because of the nature of the topic. But
yeah, sure. Go ahead and stretch as hard as you can there. Goddamn, fucking Reed Richards up in this bitch.
It's a horror movie. No, we are talking about the new animated series on Disney Plus, Star Wars Vision.
Yes.
A 9-episode season of animated Star Wars episodes that are pretty short, anywhere from like 10 to 20 minutes long, done by different anime studios with anime voice casts that are then dubbed over into English. And they all got released at once, I think about a week ago at this point. But yeah, we're talking about Star Wars Visions, and we're dipping our toes into Star Wars again.
Yeah,
Indeed.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm excited to talk more Star Wars on this show because I can never get enough of it.
I love
Really?
talking about
Are you
Star
sure?
Wars with my friends. I don't like talking about Star Wars in public.
That's fair, but this isn't really in public because the commenters can't hurt me.
True.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting. This one seems to be a pretty big hit for people. I've seen a lot of praise for it out there. And the two of you seem very excited about it.
Yes. I guess. Oh, go ahead, Tech.
It's alright.
God damn it, Ian!
Oh man, this is gonna be one of those episodes.
No, like
I'm going home.
I don't even have like takes on it. I just so passively consumed this. I get the hype because it's gorgeous. There's like sequences of animation here that are awesome. But I just got kind of bored at times. I was like, yeah, no, it's pretty good. Like it works. I check my phone.
I will say there's maybe 2 episodes here that I was also just kind of passive on because they just do things that I don't care about in Star Wars in general. So the droid one was cute, but not my thing. And then the
You mean Mega Man in Star Wars?
Mega Man ass Astro Boy with a lightsaber.
Tell me that Jedi did not look like Dr. Light. Tell me.
He fucking looks exactly like Dr. Light.
It's a pretty awesome design though, and I fucking love that. And so there's the droid one that I don't love, and then there's the one that's like directly after, or like seemingly directly after the episode 3 Jedi Purge that I don't love. Not because it's bad, but just because I don't care about the stuff in between 3 and 4.
I generally don't, and there are 2 episodes that take place, like, here's a Jedi following the Purge, and I adored both of them, so I don't know how they made me care, because I normally don't give a fuck about Jedi who survived the Purge stories, but both Tatooine Rhapsody and Village Bride found a way to make me really fucking care, so that's impressive to me, I'll say that.
I will say I liked Tatooine Rhapsody because the greatest band in the universe is the most anime concept ever. The lead singer is voiced by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and they fucking rock.
Yeah, no, they go hard. So, like,
I think I fell asleep during that episode.
I love it.
So
I think I think I fell asleep during that episode, actually.
I will fucking fight you. So I guess, like, general thoughts, because Ian kind of gave his. I really loved this. Like, I like, so I've made no bones about the fact that, like, Rise of Skywalker just did not hit for me, and so I kind of, like, stepped back from Star Wars a little bit. I was like, I'll just passively consume whatever. And then this came out, and I watched it all in one go, which might have even been a mistake. But then I was like, and this just made me go, oh no, I fucking love Star Wars. Like, this reminded me how much I love Star Wars. This excited me about Star Wars in ways I haven't been excited about it in a minute. So, like, overall, I loved this. I would go so far as to say I don't even think there was really, like, for me personally, like, there's 1, maybe 2 episodes I didn't like quite as much as the others, but I would go so far as to say I don't even think any of these are bad. Like, I think they're all good, which is cool, because, like, you look at, like, Batman Gotham Knight or or Halo Legends or some of these other anthologies, and there are definitely bad ones, but these I thought all just some more than others for me, and I'm sure we'll get into it and go short by short.
If that's the way you want to do it.
General thoughts. I agree with you. The only thing I want to just, like, spearhead as my one complaint is I think there are episodes with notable voice actors notable actors who are voicing, and they are just not particularly good voice actors.
Yes.
So the Twins has Neil Patrick Harris, and I love Neil Patrick Harris. But when Neil Patrick Harris voices anyone, he's just Neil Patrick Harris, and it's really distracting. The episode that had George Takei also just did not sound like that voice was coming out of that body.
Oh, yeah. Although I liked so that's Akakiri, and the guy who plays the main character in that is, I forget his name, but he's the lead from Crazy Rich Asians, and I thought he was actually pretty good. Same with David Arbor, who played the, like, Jedi Master in The Elder. Like, I thought he was pretty good. So, like, it was kind of hit and miss for some of those with me. Some of the stunt casting was kind of hit and miss.
Yeah, I think they did a really good job hiring voice actors. I think they just kind of littered it with actors who are trying to transition into voice acting that are just not particularly good at it. I was surprised that David Harbour was as good as he was in The Elder.
Yeah.
I was expecting that to be one of those cases where it would be like Neil Patrick Harris or George Takei. He was surprisingly good, but that's my biggest complaint overall. I think this whole thing is fantastic. Like you said, Matt, it reminded me, oh yeah, I actually fucking love Star Wars. And if I had to pick a favorite, I'm going to be kind of basic. I fucking love The Duel. The Duel is...
Yes, correct! That is the best one!
The Duel is fucking iconic. I love it so much.
Oh my god, The Duel is... Fuck! And that's the first one, so I guess maybe we should just transition into that.
Sure. So, like, does anyone else think that this was... If any of these were in a movie, fans would do nothing but bitch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Like, that was my first thought on The Duel. With the fucking lightsaber umbrella and shit. I was like, okay, like, it's cool as shit, and it's very just, like, anime balls to the walls like you'd expect, but it's just like, I just couldn't help but be reminded of, like, all the Kylo Ren lightsaber bitching, and I'm like...
There was a tweet when that episode went live where someone was like, Star Wars in the original trilogy, lightsabers are ancient weapons of the Jedi Order. Star Wars for Disney, laser swords. I'm like, yes.
It's like, yes, they are laser swords.
What do you want?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know, I found that really amusing, like, right out the get-go. Fucking lightsaber umbrella. And I'm like, I just reminded of that video that came out right after the Force Awakens trailer parodying Kylo Ren's lightsaber, where it's just the fucking, like, the windmill lightsaber. I was like, yeah, okay. So I guess I know what we're getting into. And it was really funny to me as we watched through all of these, and like it seemed that there was a particular fascination with kyber crystals and lightsabers, and very little else outside of that. I mean, there's like a couple episodes about like the Force and stuff, but like 90% of the content is all like lightsabers are pretty fucking dope.
They are pretty fucking dope.
Lightsabers are fucking awesome.
I think before we go into specifics, there is one thing that I guess I could shout out as a criticism. Like, there is a lot of like, see, I don't even want to say similar ideas, because I think each episode has something unique or of its own to say. But a lot of the trappings are pretty similar. Like we've got a couple different villages in peril. We've got a couple different focusing on like kyber crystals and lightsabers. And I'm just like, that is kind of weird and could maybe take you out if you watched it all in one go. But that's just because they didn't want to restrict what these companies could do. Like, they did not have any knowledge of what the other studios were doing, and so they just all kind of happened to want to tell stories about lightsabers and Jedis and stuff, and I think that's fair, because that's what I would tell a story about.
I just thought it was funny that like it all just seemed like it's funny to find that out, that they had like almost little to no contact between studios and stuff, because like I almost would have, like, watching this, I would have thought the assignment was, okay, do a short, and kyber crystals and or lightsabers have to be like the central theme. Like that was like the theme for the season kind of idea. It was interesting to watch. Like I'm gonna be in this weird position because you two are just gonna gush about it, and I'm gonna sit here and just point out criticisms to be the fucking contrarian bitch that I am. But I don't want to give the impression that like I didn't think this was good or I didn't enjoy it. And I mean, it's not that I like particularly enjoyed it, but I just didn't care that much about it. But it was impressive. There's things I definitely liked about it. I didn't have a bad time watching it. It's just, yeah, the lightsaber focus was something I started to pick up on and was kind of like, okay.
I think, to be fair, and to get more into the duel specifically, is I think part of the reason I had such like a good time with this, and I didn't really pick up on the sort of like commonalities between the shorts, is this really felt like the kind of Star Wars thing I would have killed for when I was like 12 years old.
Right.
Every fucking short like hit one of those buttons. Like there's something about, because I binged all of these in one go too, but there's something about like the pure like 1-2 punch of, okay, episode 1 is fucking samurai laser sword duel Kira Kurosawa style, followed by episode 2 is a fucking punk band in space.
I know.
12-year-old Steve would have fucking died for this.
Oh yeah.
But the duel in particular, I think it was one of those things where it's like, it's so simple and boiled down to such a basic premise where like it can feel kind of generic, but because I kind of come to Star Wars for those things anyway, it doesn't really bother me. The design for the Jedi, not even the Jedi, but the swordsman dude, the fact that he's been collecting the artificial kyber crystals of the Sith that he's murdered, the line he has where he's like, I need my droid ready by the time this pot boils. It's such a just like martial arts movie kind of thing to do, and I adored it. And it was also just kind of bizarre to see JoJo-style animation with fucking lightsabers.
Yeah. No, I did like that. It is really cool to get that very, like you said, Kurosawa-style samurai thing out of this. It was interesting to see the kind of like mixing mythology, because all of these, as they were introduced, were like pointed out strictly to be, this isn't canon, this is all just, fun little vignettes and out of continuity. They're all in their own separate continuity. It's just a showcase of different styles with the Star Wars brand. And yet most of them actually stick relatively close to some of the new lore and canon, which I thought was interesting. The first one, the duel, I think does still, because you said the artificial crystals, which is the old canon for kyber crystals. The new canon is that when you use a kyber crystal, you use like dark side energy with it, you're like torturing or like raping the crystal, and it bleeds, and that's what turns the saber blade red. And so you kind of see that used throughout here, where like certain people will turn on a lightsaber and it'll turn a different color. It's interesting that this one, like, you know, the first time you see him, like, and he goes to fight the Sith and stuff, you assume he's going to be a Jedi, and then he turns on a red lightsaber, and it's like, okay, that's an interesting choice. So, I don't know. I liked it quite a bit. I guess for me, the thing about it is, like, the Duel to me is a really good, like, opening 20 minutes to a Star Wars centric movie or something, you know, like a Star Wars story like Rogue One. Because I'm just left kind of wanting to know more about the guy, but I know I'm not going to get it.
You're getting a book. He's getting a novel.
He comes out on my birthday on October 12th. It's fucking.
I'm excited about it. The preview chapters are hype.
Oh, okay. I didn't know about that. I just meant like more. I guess I meant more in the context of what I watched. You know, like,
yeah,
like if the rest, I knew it wasn't going to be, but like it just kind of left me. Maybe that's why I had such a hard time really getting interested or invested in all these, because I just knew they were just going to be primarily these one-offs.
Yeah,
and the premises all kind of like revolved around things with like completely original characters that it kind of made it hard for me to get invested in each individual one-off.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that's fair. That wasn't really my experience, because I was fucking on board with this as soon as I saw the opening and just the art set. Because this is, I think Kamikaze Doga are they the same people who did Batman Ninja? Like, I'm pretty sure that's them.
I don't believe so.
Okay, maybe I'm crazy.
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, though.
But the you know, I mean, the way that everything is in that black and white except for the red lightsabers is such a fucking lovely choice. But no, I was here for this from the beginning. I mean, fucking it absolutely takes place either in its own continuity or potentially in the far-flung future. I did love that, like, the Sith chick, her grouping of thugs, some of them were wearing Empire-era Stormtrooper armor, some were wearing First Order Stormtrooper armor. She has the First Order symbol on her belt, which I thought was kind of interesting. But this was one where, like as we get into later ones, I think they have more interesting things to say as a piece. Like, I think Village Bride, Akakiri, Lo Pinocho, I think they have more interesting things to say. But, like, the Duel just as a really cool short action sequence that has a lot of really neat little world building and a lot of really great style. I mean, that's all I really wanted from it, and it absolutely delivered on that. Her helicopter, or her umbrella saber, it works for me in a way that the Inquisitor helicopter sabers never did, because whenever you see the Inquisitor helicopter sabers, they're kind of dumb looking, and the first time you see them using them to fly, it's like way off in the distance and they just look dopey. Whereas the first time you see her lightsaber, it's like full in the frame, right in your face. She's got that like fucking creepy ass mask and the wide eyes, and it's like one of those things where this is kind of a stupid idea, but the framing just sells it in a way that makes it look terrifying, and it just fucking clicks and it works, and the fight itself is really cool. I love the shot where she dives through the waterfall and slashes at the statue. I just loved this. I just thought this was so fucking good. And yeah, I do end up wanting to know more about Ronin. But this one's getting a novel, so if I care that much, I can go read it. But I also think that my imagination is totally fine.
To your point about the saber and comparing it to the Inquisitor ones, I agree with you. I think part of what makes this one work for me, even though it is just kind of a purely aesthetically driven action scene, is I think there's a fine line between doing things that are cool when it comes to playing in the constraints of the medium you're in. So something that's legitimately really cool to do in a video game is cool because you get to do it, not necessarily because it makes any kind of sense. The problem I have with a lot of stuff, particularly when it comes to like fictional technology, like in Star Wars, is the Inquisitor sabers get very, very convoluted, but there's nothing about them that sort of necessitates or benefits from the fact that they are animated and being swung around in multiple directions. They're just kind of convoluted and they happen to be animated. When you look at the fucking umbrella saber and you look at the samurai katana style lightsaber the Ronin dude uses, or even like the scene where the droid is running through the streets firing his fucking missiles everywhere, clearly these are things that, whether or not they are ridiculous, they become way more interesting because of the animation style of the thing they're in. And so what the way the camera moves around as that umbrella saber is shooting off in all fucking directions, the way the lightsaber kind of ignites and points out in every direction, again, it's a lot like Kylo Ren's lightsaber, particularly in the Last Jedi, where it looks cool on its own. But if you actually factor it into the medium it's in, and you go with the idea that lightsabers' blades can disappear at an instant, the fact that they have a hilt that they can stab into people's shoulders, you can do so much more with it because you're playing with the medium. You're not just coming up with bizarre technology.
Yeah. And Rhoda's saber, I mean, fucking, that was the best fucking part when she's just like, you're a Jedi, and he's like, unfortunately, I'm not. Like, it's so good. And his name is Ronin, so you know he's like some sort of masterless Sith who's like fucking going around and hunting other Sith. Like, there's so much fucking cool here. Like, they managed to pack in so much kind of neat little world building into this particular universe that this story takes place in, that your just imagination goes wild, and it takes a really simple story and it just makes you want to know more. It's so fucking good.
Yeah, you're gonna love this. The voice actor in English for the
fucking Lucy Liu.
Fucking Drift King from Tokyo Drift.
Yeah, fucking yeah. Like, oh god, they get Lucy Liu for the villain who fucking kills it, and yeah, they get him for the oh Jesus, it's just, oh, it's so good. I fucking 10 out of 10 with the Duel. I love it.
Yeah, legit my favorite one.
It was alright.
Okay, cool. All right, so Tatooine Rhapsody. Can I start on this one?
Sure.
Fucking. So I really despise like Jedi Padawan who survived the Purge stories. Like, they just bore me because there's so many of them. But then this one says, no. Wait a minute. It's a Jedi Padawan who survived the Purge, and instead of going back to being a Jedi, he forms a fucking rock band. And I'm just like, that's literally the best idea I've ever heard. And so this one hits for me in a really cool way, because obviously I play drums. I'm a big fan of musicians and music and rock music in particular. But I thought this one was really cool because there's a scene where Jay, the Padawan, his friend is getting taken by Boba Fett, and he tries to ignite his lightsaber to help him. And he can't ignite the saber because it's broken, it's not working. And instead, they find another way to save him. They find a different way to accomplish it. And to me, that's so cool, because I'm just like, well, that's the thing, saying that the way of the Jedi was never for Jay. And now he gets to choose, because Jedi in the prequel era were fucking taken as babies and made to do something that they maybe didn't want to ever do. And so the Purge was awful. But now Jay gets this chance to realize, he's like, being a Jedi was never me. That was never my path. But this that I choose to do, I have actually been able to save my friend with it, and I can change the galaxy with it. And I'm like, that's so fucking cool. I love that. I just fucking love it. And yeah, the song's pretty good. I think it sounds a little bit better in Japanese because it's very clearly written with more J-rock sensibilities than it necessarily is American pop punk. But it's I fucking love this episode, and I'm tired of people hating on it. I will punch the shit out of some folks.
I didn't like the art design or the character design for it.
So cute.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like chibi stuff.
They're so adorable. Little baby Boba Fett with Tamara Morrison's voice.
Yeah, I don't really dig chibi stuff. I'm sorry.
This is not quite chibi. It's one step. It's like a half step in between pure chibi and just regular. I get it. It works for me because I kind of like the cutesiness of it, but I totally understand that.
Yeah, I just didn't care for the art style of it, and I don't know, I was kind of tired when I was watching that one, and just, again, like, that's kind of the problem I had with a lot of these, is just nothing really grabbed me as I was going into it. Like, you know, you're right. It started and it's like, okay, Padawan survived the purge. What's going on Twitter right now? And then I look up and like they're playing at a rock show and stuff. I'm like, oh, that's kind of interesting. But then they don't like start a song. I don't know. They fucking waited too long to like hook me with like a proper song moment, I guess, because they kind of wait to do the full performance that doesn't get interrupted or whatever until the end. And by then I kind of lost interest and literally started to fall asleep during that one. Yeah.
Steve, did you like this one?
This one is another top contender for me. I fucking love this one. I'm with Matt. It's fucking adorable. Little teeny fucking Boba Fett is great. Little fucking quasi chibi. What's he called? Jabba the Hutt is fucking great. I fucking love Joseph Gordon-Levitt in this. Like, he's an actor, but he's actually done like voiceover work pretty consistently, and he makes voiceover cameos in a lot of things and kind of plays up different character archetypes over his career, and they're all kind of fun and quirky. So, like, for example, in Knives Out, there's a scene where Ana de Armas' sister is watching some kind of like cheesy as hell detective movie, and you don't get to see anything on screen, but you hear Joseph Gordon-Levitt like call out like a fucking 40s detective playing Clue, and it's hilarious and one of the funniest cameos I've ever heard. And his sensibility for voicing Jay I just really like, and I think he's got a decent enough singing voice to make it work. I like this one a lot. I thought the song was legitimately really good. I didn't hear it in Japanese. I just kind of got lost in the whole pop punkiness of it in English. But I'm with you in that I fucking hate Jedi survives the Jedi purge and goes about their life. We've done that so many fucking times, it's not even a purge anymore. It was a mild inconvenience. That annoys the hell out of me. But aside from that, I thought this one was really, really good. The tone shift, the kind of whiplash you get from going from the Duel to Tatooine Rhapsody, I could see kind of turning people off. But like I said earlier, like, these are the sort of two poles of Star Wars I've always wanted, and getting them back to back just put me in the perfect mood for the rest of these. I wouldn't put it. I wouldn't say it's like my second, third favorite. We'll get to those, but it's definitely the one I wish got more of a continuation, because it's got the framing and the structure and even just like the dialogue of like a sports anime. It's got the sort of like, yes, I will become the greatest band in the galaxy, like Prince of Tennis, Ice Shield 21 kind of mentality, and I love it. I want to see them go to the Battle of the Bands in season 10.
I love when they're playing and the fucking Biff musicians from the Cantina band are like sitting there listening to it and they're like sweating because they're like, oh shit, these guys are great.
It's so anime bullshit, and I love it.
This one, I agree that like, so like I have not watched this subbed, and it's worth pointing out that there are not proper subtitles, there's just closed captioning. So if you watch it in Japanese with the subs, there will be some audio descriptive text, which is unfortunate, and that's been a big criticism people have levied at Disney for this. But this one's kind of weird for me because no one pointed out, like I didn't realize that the song was, you know, quote unquote better in Japanese until someone pointed it out, and I listened to it and I was like, yeah, it does kind of sound a little bit better in Japanese. But this is one of those ones where I'm like, I feel like you need to watch it in English because Joseph Gordon-Levitt's pretty good, and you get Tamara Morrison as Boba Fett, and you gotta have Tamara Morrison's Boba Fett because he's great.
Yeah, no, I agree. I didn't watch this in Japanese. I agree with the point about the subbing issue. I saw some people talk about that. But in general, I think this is probably the best voice cast of any of these, to be completely honest. I think everyone does a really good job on this one.
Yeah, this one's good. I like the three-headed drummer alien. He makes me smile.
That was a neat little character design. I found myself sitting there kind of wondering how the like biology of that works, because they were connected like mid-back, and I'm like, how the fuck does that function?
Very strange design. I kind of love it.
Yeah, it was different. All right. Guys ready to move on to the next one?
Yep.
The twins.
The twins. This was the big one. This was the one that I think everyone's like talking about and most interested in. And I guess this is the one where I'm just the most like, I don't understand the premise of doing out of continuity Star Wars. Because Star Wars is just so fucking huge that like, if you're gonna do out of continuity, you should just do something like that's a what if, kind of like this one is. But even then, this is still different. Like, these two are based heavily off the premise of Luke and Leia without actually being Luke and Leia, you know?
Yeah.
And so I don't know, it kind of put me into a weird place, and I was just like, I just don't understand some of these decisions.
You know, it's worth mentioning. So like, the first one was Kamikaze Doga, the second one was Studio Olorito, and then this one is Trigger of like Kill la Kill fame, and you can tell, you can tell. This one, see, this is the one that I wish Alfie was here for, because I know, like, I just know for a fact this one's probably his favorite. And this one,
it is pretty fucking hype, no lie.
See, this one's probably my least favorite. And like, I don't know, this one more than any of the other ones. All the other ones feel like, okay, this is Star Wars, but maybe in the distant past, maybe in the distant future, maybe even within canon, or maybe just Star Wars, but events have played out a little bit differently. And they all kind of feel like Star Wars in some way. This one just kind of feels like a pastiche of Star Wars more than anything. And part of what makes Star Wars to me is that level of like groundedness that the universe has. It feels like this universe where real people live there, and it kind of feels and like,
oh, so the breathing and fighting in space thing didn't do it for you?
Well, I don't care about that. I just care that like this feels so over the top that it just sort of it overshoots Star Wars for me and becomes something else. I don't really.
Yeah, it does kind of feel like a little Gundam-y,
like,
you know?
I don't really give a shit that they can breathe in space or any of that. Like, I think that's a bizarre complaint. I'm just like, okay, well, in the universe of this short, Force users can breathe in space. I don't know what to tell you. It's
I don't know,
it's
just
like
like
it's contradicting anything. Like it takes
it's
place
just
in its
felt
own
like
continuity.
so. I don't know. It just felt like so not a thing, because like there's very few threats in Star Wars that are like consistent threats. I'm echoing from somebody, and I don't know, just like I got over it, but just the second they were out there, I was like, oh, okay, that's new. Like it just took me out of it a second, because Star Wars has always had like the vacuum of space has been like a problem, you know, fucking, unless you're Carrie Fisher, I guess. But I don't know, it's just, again, I just had a really hard time connecting with anything, so I have a hard time like talking about them without just picking up stuff that like I noticed that kind of irked me in one way or another. I feel bad because I have very little positive to say, even though I do think it was well done. Because, like, my positives are, yeah, it looked amazing, though.
I'll contrast you guys on this one. I actually really, really like this one. We'll get to the one I don't like pretty soon here, but I like this one a lot because it does sort of feel like this isn't anime studio doing Star Wars. This is... It almost has the feel of this is what happens if an anime studio saw A New Hope in the 70s and wanted to make something of it, and the universe had not existed yet, you know? It's like everything is still such an open book with where everything is going to go, and you track this with, like, the history of stuff that would have happened post A New Hope that can't possibly happen with the way this is set up, and I just feel like it's its own interesting animal. It's got sort of like that operatic doomed fate. There's a lot of just classic mythic storytelling happening with all of the anime insanity that goes along with making Studio Trigger do this. It feels like Kill la Kill and Star Wars essentially had a child. And I kind of like it for that. I feel like this one takes the most swings out of any of these to be kind of its entire own thing. Like, this feels like if the assignment was you were doing out of canon and we're going to label it Star Wars, this is what I think this is the one that feels the most like we're going to stretch what that could possibly mean to the nth degree. And if nothing else, I really appreciate it for that. I will also fully admit that like the mood I was in watching the first two may have even carried me through this one. But I legitimately really like this one. I don't know if I like it more than the previous two. Definitely not more than the first one. But I thought this one was pretty good. I feel like it's the one that it's the most memorable for better or worse. This is a one like the Duel I kind of want a continuation of, only because I feel like the entire history of the universe has to be different here.
Yeah. I don't know. I guess for me, it's just like, and this is probably something that exists in other places, but I don't read Star Wars novels because I think they're all bad.
How freaking dare you?
I'm the king of hot takes lately, so I'm just gonna fucking double down on it. So no, I don't know. Like, just the premise of this is basically, what if Luke and Leia were raised by the Empire, right? Like that's the general like idea behind this, and kind of goes off in its own thing. And to be honest, I just find the idea of what if Luke and Leia were raised by the Empire more interesting than this. Because I don't know, it just didn't grab me. Nothing grabbed me. I'm sorry. I feel bad. Everyone else is like, I'm in love with it, and I'm like, it's okay.
I mean, I'm not in love with this specific one. It just didn't hit for me in the right way, and that's fine. I know a lot of people really like it, like Steve, and like I said, I'm 100% confident, without even talking to him, that this is Alfie's favorite.
I'll take the hot seat on the next one if we're good with this, because the next one.
Steve, don't tell me you dislike Village Bride. I will fight you.
I don't like Village Bride.
I will fight you in the street.
Matt is the toxic Star Wars fan that you've been warned about.
I am. I'm the toxic Star Wars fan.
Which is so weird because I feel like you and I have kind of been on sync on most of these so far.
We're vibing so hard, Steve. Why you gotta ruin it?
Here's my thing with this one. It's nothing major. It's just one of those things where it's like it feels generic to me in all of the wrong ways, because I do not mind doomed lovers stuff. I think all of that stuff is great. I don't mind doing more stuff with like criminals and gangs and stuff hanging out in the Star Wars universe as opposed to just the Jedi stuff. I just don't think, what's the main guy's name? F. I don't think he's particularly interesting or that unique from the rest of these characters. This is the one that felt the most like this could have just been an episode of fucking Clone Wars.
Hey, Steve.
Yes.
Steve. I think I like this one the most because it felt like it was an episode of Clone Wars.
Cool. That's my big thing with this, is that this feels the least like if the last one is they understood the assignment too well, this is the one that feels like they did not understand the assignment enough.
I mean, I'll grant that, but this feels like the quintessential Jedi who survived the Purge story that does it better than all the other fucking ones that have tried it. And like, I love that. So like, there's a couple things that like superficially I really like. Like, I like that we're talking about the impacts that the Separatists had instead of like the Empire. I think that's kind of neat. I love. See, what the thing that like carries this over and makes it a little bit more next level for me is the way that her kind of rediscovering that connection to the Force and what it means to be a Jedi is tied directly to where she's at. Like, I love this village that has these traditions and these rituals that keep them in touch with the planet and with nature, and what they're really tapping into is the Force, but they have their own name for it, and they have their own they have their own words for it, and they have their own thoughts about it, and they're like, and how nature and the Force are really one and the same, and like, that's all fucking great. And then the other thing, and this is another superficial thing, the music in this one is killer. Like, I feel like I was playing like Nier Replicant. Like, the music is like so fucking good in this one. And like, yes, F's story is a little on the generic side in terms of she is a former Jedi Padawan who is on the kind of run from the Empire and then kind of embraces who she is and stands up and blah, 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 blah. I'm not saying that there is not an element of kind of genericness to this, but I don't think it's ever been done this well. Like, I think this is the one that just fucking did it in a way that made me care. F's design is also just superficially, her design is fucking awesome, and like I love how she looks. I love her fucking cool ass lightsaber. The villain is smarmy in all the right ways. There's a lot of really neat little moments of world building, like when the bride's sister stands up and they all take off their red scarves, and you can like feel that means something important. It's just like all these little subtle world building moments.
I just feel bad for the guy who has to fucking climb a mountain with a girl on his back. That sounds exhausting.
That's fair. I've never heard of Kinema Citrus, which is the animation studio that did this. I'm sorry, Steve. I might have to be the opposite with you. This one is like tied for my second favorite. I fucking love this one. I think it's so good. It's the first time I've cared about the premise.
That's fair. I feel like, if nothing else, all of these sort of have like these base superficial qualities that kind of compound for you, and if they appeal to you in the right way, then they're going to be fucking amazing, and if they don't, then they just won't. And this is one of the things where it's like, the trappings of the story are all the things I find least interesting about Star Wars, even if they're good.
Yeah, that's understandable, and I totally get that, because I'm usually with you in terms of not liking general trajectory of this type of story. This one just worked for me. Maybe I can't really explain why, other than the last like 10 minutes of me rambling.
I don't know. Like, for me, it did feel like that kind of Clone Wars thing where you just have the Jedi kind of interacting with different groups and planets and stuff, and you just get to do that Star Wars world building, exploring random planets, and I like anything with Star Wars that shows the Force in another light that's not light side dark side, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, I like the Night Sisters and Clone Wars and shit like that. It's cool to see those otherworldly Star Wars planets and stuff. Mm-hmm. I just always enjoy that. So that was fun. Again, it was just very, very particular things that just kind of like made me snicker and giggle a little bit. Like, man, this motherfucker walked all the way up on the... Like, it's not even that he's carrying her. He's carrying her on a fucking, like, backpack chair thing. And I'm just looking at him like, that has to just be adding more weight. This is ridiculous.
That's gotta make this harder.
I know. And I'm like, my dude is going through all this, and she's about to, like, okay, we're gonna get married. All right, fine. He's doing it for the pussy. Fair, respectable. It's like, and then I'm gonna go over to the Empire the day after our wedding night. Oh man, that's like shit, bro.
No, but see, that's the other reason I like it. She's not even going over to the Empire. It's a group of thugs that have taken control of a bunch of fucking battle droids. She's literally fighting against her own, like, post-traumatic stress from the Clone Wars. Like, it's fucking awesome. Like, oh,
You're right.
So
I mixed up details in my head.
Yeah, you're fine, because, I mean, that's...
Because, like, it was that...
The traditional stories that it would be the Empire, but...
Oh, what's the other one? Like, there was that, and then there's the one with, like, the bunny girl, and it just felt like a very, very similar kind of tone, especially when, like, the bad guy shows up and stuff and that. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
the wires got crossed in my head.
The Imperial in La Pinocho and the gang leader in The Village Bride they are kind of similar in design a little bit. And they're both...
Yeah, not even necessarily design, just, like, in function and stuff. They just... So I guess I got my wires crossed on that. But we did get Roger, so
we got the fucking...
That was the good shit right
droid
there.
voices again. That was cute.
Yep, I love those boys.
Does anyone have anything else to say about The Village Bride before I wax lyrical about production IG?
Sure.
Cool. So the
fucking rules. So go.
the next one. So the next one is done by my fucking boys at Production IG, whomst I love.
Your boys.
My boys and girls.
You hang out with them on the weekends?
Yeah. Well, maybe if I could be so cool. But I fucking love Production IG. They did so like Production IG is just the kings of making shorts that I desperately wish were turned into full television series, because they had the Crossfire short and Batman Gotham Knight, which individually was probably one of the worst ones story-wise, but like the way it fucking looks, I'm just like, I need this as a TV show. And so that's the same thing with Ninth Jedi, and this is the one that like every single bit hits. I love the art style. Like I've liked the art style for most of these, especially Village Bride and Duel. But like Ninth Jedi has a really great art style that just feels very like perfectly anime Star Wars. And this is the one that feels the most like a pitch for a show. Like this one feels like Production IG sat down to tell a Star Wars story, but it feels like they were making a pilot for a show. Because you've got our point of view character Kara, you've got the Jedi who is clearly dealing with like anger, Willy Wolney fall to the dark side. Like there's like a bunch of like potential future conflicts that get set up here. They've got a cool ass fucking headquarters on the fucking asteroid temple. This one's really cool, and I felt like this one, like I just felt like we were taken to just this brand new status quo for the Star Wars universe that just grabbed me and like made me want more in this particular take on the Star Wars universe. And I will say that like warring Jedi versus Sith on like a large scale, that's something that like I've only ever seen that done in like the Knights of the Old Republic stuff, and it's never been super compelling to me. But like this made me really a lot more interested in that premise. I really don't have much but good things to say about Ninth Jedi.
I agree with you. Ninth Jedi was probably one of my favorites on this one too. This is
Steve. Which one wasn't your favorites?
The other one was not one of my favorites. Every show in this collection is ranked number 2, except Duel, which is number 1, and the Village Bride, which is number 3. That's how. No, so this, getting back to the difference between the last one, this is a perfect case of if everything just kind of aesthetically and superficially hits, then it doesn't matter what's good or bad about the short narratively, it will just hit for me. Because big scale war between Jedi and Sith is my fucking shit. I love when you get into the mythology and the construction of the lightsabers and do like really intricate designs and stuff like that. I love like sort of spiritual quests to kind of figure out the kind of lightsaber and the crystal and the kind of you're going to become. I love sort of the setting up like a clear relationship between your point of view naive Jedi with the all-encompassing powerful Sith. The entire just like premise of this is, if I was ever in charge of Star Wars, this is my fucking show. I love this one. I want this one to get as many spin-off novels as physically possible.
I'm right there with you. It's so like the introduction of like, I love that idea that like the lightsaber has been lost to time, and there are people who are fucking like saber smiths who is like, it's their life's mission to bring back the art of crafting lights. Like, fuck, that's my shit.
Well, and just like putting that into context too, specifically because you have Production IG doing this. And Production IG also did one of my favorite animes, which is Psycho Pass, and Psycho Pass has this great like mythology and political commentary with their guns, which are called Dominators, and how they work and how they sort of like create the personalities and the things they're designed to stop in the first place, and importing some of those sensibilities into the lightsabers, and just sort of being like, the lightsaber is not only a weapon for that gets used with the kyber crystals, but has like a specific personality to it, and the wielders and the makers sort of take on a persona as they're crafting these things. It's such an inherently anime thing to do, but it's also something that I feel like gets super undersold in Star Wars proper, because there are a handful of things here and there that I can point to where like the history and the construction of the lightsaber actually matter, and you almost never get into there are very rare occasions in novels where like a character will be like, you use this lightsaber fighting style which does this, you use form 3 or you use form 5, or there'll be some guides that'll explain to you which Jedis and Sith use which lightsaber forms. But there's very little about like what the purpose and the history and the philosophy behind these moves are outside of just like a guidebook situation. And setting up an entire narrative around just like the creation and the majesty of the lightsaber itself. I just fucking love it. I love it so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked a lot about this one. This one was one of the ones I was able to actually emotionally connect to, and it did actually give me some stuff that I enjoyed visually a lot too. Like when the girl is being chased across the planet as she's trying to escape, and the guy's on the fucking speeder bike. And, you know, I kind of expected your typical Star Wars thing where, you know, she'll probably just, you know, be a chase and you get the, like, Wilhelm scream as he drives off into an explosion. But then when they got on that fucking frozen lake and she gets off the bike as it's still moving and, like, just turns on the ice and then fucking lightsabers the guy's bike in half as it passes her. That shit was hype as fuck.
That shot was in the trailer for Visions, and I remember seeing that, and I was like, I don't know what this short is, I don't know who that chick is, but I am fucking on board, and it was so good. So the action sequences throughout the whole thing are pretty good, but like the fight in this one and that chase sequence when she like turns the bike around and starts driving backwards and like it's so fucking good.
Yeah, that was pretty fucking hype. The like duel up on top of the asteroid, that was pretty cool too. I did like the reveal because like when you have them all there and like he gets out the little hologram puck and like that is the most Sith-looking Jedi motherfucker in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, you have that, like, creepy robot, and you're like, okay, it's gonna be a Sith trapping them or something. Mm-hmm. And then she brings the lightsabers, and they all turn on their sabers, and they're all fucking red. I was like, okay. That, like, I kind of saw something coming. There was, like, a level of, like, okay, can we trust these people or not? But, like, just that fucking moment of everyone's got a lightsaber now, and they're all red. I was like, fuck.
Yeah,
that's not good.
I remember watching this with Carly, and Carly's like, that is the most Sith-ass looking motherfucker, like, ever. But then, like, no, he's actually the good guy. He was there the whole time, like...
I mean, fucking Plow Clune also looks super fucking Sithy. I think anyone with cyborg parts looks really Sithy.
That's fair.
Star Wars has kind of trained us to think that, like... Star Wars is ableist. They think people that need prosthetics are evil. That's what Star Wars has taught me, and I'm not going to accept any other lesson from this.
Yeah, and if you want to be evil, but you don't have a need for prosthetics, like Kylo Ren, you just have to pretend that you do and wear a mask all the time. But, like, so, like, I'm kind of, and maybe we can just talk about this briefly before moving on to the other individual shorts. They've said that if there's enough interest, which I think there is, that they will make a sequel to Visions. And I'm kind of torn because, like, honestly, I'm fine with, like, the Duel getting a spin-off novel. You know, I'd love to see maybe some of the other ones get a spin-off novel or comic just because, like, I really like the worlds and the characters they made. This is the only one where I'm just like, please give me, like, an actual... Like, if they make Visions 2, please give me a sequel to this. Like, I need more of this specific...
Oh, no, I agree completely. This is the one where it's like... It doesn't feel like it's over by the time it's over, and I so fucking need more of this.
And that's been the general, like anytime I see people talk about Visions, everyone's just like, we need a 9th Jedi sequel. And I'm like, yes, correct.
Give me the 10th Jedi!
That's it. This one's great. I fucking love it.
Yeah, no, this one really did hit for me. No joke.
Okay.
Once again, slight hot seat for the next one, potentially?
I mean, the next one's fine. I think it's cute.
Okay, so the next one is, it's good and it makes me uncomfortable because it's a Star Wars thing about a droid, and Star Wars and droids are just very philosophically confusing and they make my brain hurt. Because
Okay.
clearly the droids are essentially human beings and have agency, but are clearly not treated that way. And it's just deeply uncomfortable anytime anything happens to droids in Star Wars for me. Where
They don't even serve our kind here.
it's so fucking weird to me. It's like if Blade Runner did not take itself seriously and everyone's just okay with how bizarrely uncomfortable the relationship is between sentient organic people and droids. And it's
Okay, hear me out.
uncomfortable. So
I think I can explain this, okay?
okay.
Alright, so what it is you're a fucking caveman. And, like, when Siri has, like, a pre-programmed joke response to you asking her to marry you, you're like, ah, oh, wow, that's so cool, okay? Now, I want you to imagine, like, okay, technology that's annoying as fuck. Automated voice lines. Where, like, you call in, it's like, press 1 to this, or say, like, they don't even let you press buttons, you have to, like, say things. It's like, say yes or no, and it drives you, like, immediately crazy. Like, you can be chill and cool and having a good day, and then you have to talk to one of those, and you're just, like, fucking livid, alright? Imagine living in a world where that shit's just everywhere. And it's like, yeah, but it's so advanced and they're sentient. And you're just like, I don't fucking care. It's just annoying and stupid. And it's not even a real thing. That's the Star Wars universe. That shit would just get exhausting.
See, and that's what makes me so weirdly uncomfortable with this one, because, like, the idea of a Jedi Force-sensitive droid, there were just so many questions about the fucking nature and the politics of the Star Wars universe that I do not want to think about. Aside from that, it's fine.
Very
I just, like, that one just cracked me up because it's, like, 100% Dr. Light from Mega Man.
Yeah.
And then he creates this, like, little Mega Man Astro Boy clone, and it just is the funniest shit to me.
Yeah, I mean, he even gets like there's a point where he's fighting I guess he's supposed to be like an Inquisitor, and he fucking gets like the Mega Man X armor with like the wings in the back and shit, and I'm just like, holy crap. This one was like, I don't know. I don't have a lot to say about this one. Like, I didn't dislike it, but it didn't like grab me super hard. I just thought it was really cute and kind of fun, and it was really pretty. It was very gorgeous. And some of the action sequences were cool. But yeah, as soon as I saw that, I was like, well, that's just Dr. Light. Who's like trying to like fucking terraform some Tatooine-ass planet.
Yeah. I don't know, I'm just trying to imagine, like, toaster, make me toast. I don't feel like doing that today. I'm sorry, Ian. I can't do that. I don't know, just like, it would get so fucking exhausting. Can you imagine you have to have a conversation with your microwave every time? Ugh. I couldn't do it, man. I would kill somebody. It's like, microwave this for me. Yes, sir. Would you like this microwave for 1 minute or 2 minutes? Just get it hot. Okay, sir. If I can give it to you, it's still cold in the middle. Fucking microwave! I told you to get it hot. Like, you're fucking asking me questions, but you can't even make sure it's warm in the middle. Fuck.
See, this is why the Star Wars universe is perpetually at war.
Yes. Everyone's just fucking on edge because, like, they've modernized to the point where it's just gotten exhausting. And then you get, like, droids to talk to the other droids. That's what, like, your C-3POs are. And they're all fucking prissy and annoying little bitches. Oh, my God, it would be awful. Worst universe to live in. Give me fucking, like, Dragon Ball world where shit's blowing up and I have a really good chance of being dead for a year every other week. Let's just fucking go. As long as I don't have to deal with that. That would get exhausting.
This one is by Science Saru, which is not an anime studio I'm super familiar with. I don't know if anyone else is.
I don't
know. Did they ever do anything with Mega Man? Because I've got a strong feeling they did something with Mega Man in the past.
I'm looking at it. It looks like their most recent like big thing was that like recent Devilman Crybaby from 2018.
Oh, they did Devilman. Okay.
And they also did Space Dandy in 2014.
I never understand it.
I am 100% going to stand my ground and say that they did something Mega Man in the past, even if it's not credited on IMDb or whatever.
It's worth pointing out that Science Saru and Trigger are the only ones that get 2 shorts, because after Toby, TOB1, you get the Elder, which is the second one by Trigger. Does anyone have anything else to say about TOB1 before we go to the Elder?
Yeah, it was cute.
Yeah, it was cute.
It's the only one where if they make more, I will not be compelled to watch it.
Yeah, that's fair. Then we have the Elder.
The Elder fucking rules.
What?
The Elder fucking rules. I love the Elder.
Yeah.
Is it your second favorite?
Yes.
The Elder was funny
Also
because
my second favorite.
on first viewing, I was just kind of like, this is okay. But then I watched it today, and I don't know, man, it hit different. There's something about the really foreboding atmosphere throughout the piece. David Arbor does a really good job as the Jedi Master. I think is it James Hong? I forget his name. The guy who voices the Elder is particularly delightful, and he's fantastic. What I like about this one is how like mysterious it all is. Like this Sith, or this seeming Sith, just shows up out of nowhere, and they don't get any answers. They don't learn it. He shows up, he's creepy as fuck, they deal with him, and then they never, like, there's just, I don't know, on rewatch, the, like, atmosphere of this one, and just the kind of creepiness of this dude coming from nowhere, just kind of landed for me. Other than that, I don't have, like, a super intense fixation for this one, but I did like it.
I liked the moral of this one, and in that, like, Jedi space monk way of, like, you know, no matter how much power you attain, it's all still meaningless because it will all leave you. Just like it did with him. He spent his whole life searching for and gaining power, and he gained a lot of it, but he still got old, and he was defeated by someone with less power because of it. I loved that. That was fantastic. That was just like a really cool like Jedi moment thing for me. I like these more as they went on, I think.
I really love this one. It's definitely more like Star Wars meets Lord of the Rings. And I think part of what I really dug about this is there's been some speculation online. I don't know if this could even possibly be true. There might be stuff that contradicts it. But there's been some like Reddit threads and stuff where they're like, is the Elder actually Darth Bane? Because if the Elder is actually Darth Bane, that lesson would make so much sense. And I love the Darth Bane novels. I love his whole thing about, like, do you need to create the rule of two, because that's the only way you guarantee that the Sith are constantly getting more powerful. And then in the second novel, how he starts putting all, like, these weird force-enhancing parasites onto his body so he can just constantly get stronger, but is also slowly dying from them. And, like, if that dude ages up to a point where he becomes this and is realizing that it doesn't matter how powerful he gets or how much he strives other people to become more powerful, everyone fucking dies eventually. That's a really cool way to end that character arc, and I love that. The sort of like dark fantasy atmosphere thrown in the Star Wars universe, I think, is not something I've ever consciously wanted until I saw it. And this one in particular, because it's Studio Trigger again, is just really well animated. It's really moody. It's really stylized. This is interesting because I feel like I've never seen Studio Trigger do something that looks quite like this, and maybe they're not the best studio to handle a Lord of the Rings style Star Wars episode. It rules, and this is another one, a lot like Ninth Jedi, that I feel like needs a full-on TV show.
I don't know. I guess if I did have one complaint about it is I do think the Padawan should have probably stayed dead. Like when you see him get defeated and stuff, it's heavily implied that he's dead, and it's a fake out. But like, I don't know. I think it might have been stronger if he just died in it. It's just me.
Yeah. That's funny because that happens in the next short too. Like someone gets slashed across the chest, and they're like, "Oh no, they're fine." I'm just like,
yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's
we're using the video game lightsaber rules.
Yeah, exactly. I'm fucking like the Padawan named Dan and the Padawan named Ethan in the Ninth Jedi. Just give me these fucking basic ass Star Wars names. Yeah, I mean I've actually not heard that theory that it's Darth Bane. I think that's kind of interesting. I've only read the first Darth Bane novel, and it's been quite a while. I think that is cool, and I think you guys are definitely hitting on something with like the age idea. That is definitely very, very cool. I don't like this one's kind of interesting because like this, I feel like could pretty easily slide into canon at some point before Phantom Menace. This one was cool. I'm not sure I would necessarily need a full series on it because I kind of like the mysteriousness of the Elder. Because I'm a big fan of that. I like when villains just show up and it's just like what the fuck is this? I like that he just shows up and disappears and we learn nothing about him. I think that's really neat. But yeah, I mean this one's good. I like it. I like it better. I like it a lot better than Trigger's other one.
I like the fact that like the last thing he does is destroy the ship just because it's like the last thing he can do to fuck with them. You know? Like I sincerely get the feeling that he doesn't destroy the ship to like protect anything or anybody. He does it just because he knows it'll fuck with them, that they can't learn anymore.
I like that he doesn't fade into the Force. He just becomes like rubble.
Uh-huh.
What the
That's
fuck?
cool.
It's so freaky. I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to go on to the next one, boyos?
Next one, La Pinocho. It's fun.
I have nothing but good things to say about this. I
Go for it, Matt.
fucking
Go on.
So like Geno Studio, I've never even heard of them, and they appear to have not done much. But I really, 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 really like this short a lot. It has maybe my favorite fight in the whole thing. Like the fight between Lop and Ocho at the end is fucking baller as shit, and I love it. I love this like exploration of like because Tau or whatever the planet is basically just Japan in Star Wars, which I think is really amusing. And they have this whole conflict between like tradition and modernization, which is actually which is very relevant when you make your planet just basically Japan, because that draws those comparisons to historical Japan and the changes that they went through. And I think it was really cool to parallel those things. It was really, really neat. I'm always a sucker for like, family is more than just your blood relatives. I'm a big sucker for that. The fight scene was great. The fucking lightsaber is so fucking cool. I love that it, like a lot of the other ones, had the katana blade, but it also had like the kanji on it. I thought was really fucking neat. The animation was fucking stellar. The fight is incredible. I just really loved this one, top to bottom. And I thought, like I said, the exploration between tradition and modernization / kind of the price of industrialization on the land and all the terrible things that kind of the imperialist nature of the empire brings with them. I thought that was all really cool. The emotional stakes between the two sisters really hit for me. I loved this one. This one's great.
This one,
I guess go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. You're fine.
This one kind of split my brain in half, because I feel like, on the one hand, it's the most sort of like, even more so than Tatooine Rhapsody, it's the most that sort of feels kind of like cutesy anime to me, and I just could not get into the tone or the character designs for that reason. But like the actual material is really, really good. I love the ancient lightsaber passed down from their family. The design for the saber is so fucking cool. Lop, I think, is actually a really cool and interesting character. It's got like it's got like sort of the traditional trappings of the kinds of conflicts you want in a Star Wars story. But it makes it a little bit more fresh and a little bit more interesting just by the nature of it's not in canon, it doesn't have to play to any existing families or concepts, and it's entirely just from the perspective of like what does family mean and what is family conflict. So all that works for me. It's just I don't like the way it looks, and I just don't like the kind of tone it goes for. And so it's just one of those things where it's like it's almost like I'm getting pushed back from enjoying it every time I find something I like about it. So it's fine. It's just one I would have preferred another studio to do, maybe.
That's fair. I don't know. I guess for me, the biggest disconnect I had about this one is, Matt, I know you still haven't seen this because I told you to a million times and you said, yeah, I'll get to it, and you never did. But Steve, have you seen Green Lantern Emerald Knights?
Yeah, I've seen it several times. We've talked about this before. We reviewed it, I think.
I couldn't remember if you were there for that one or not. So, yeah, this is literally like, not the exact same thing, but this is just so similar to a vignette in Green Lantern Emerald Knights. And Green Lantern Emerald Knights is very similar to Star Wars Visions, and that's just a bunch of short stories about like each lantern in the core kind of thing. You know, Mogo's origin Mogo's first story gets adapted in that one, yada yada. And they do one of what's her name? Lyra. From the Green Lantern books, and like she goes back to her home, and her family's like at war, and they're being like a huge galactic problem, but now she's a Green Lantern, and it's just like this. It's the exact premise of like politics of the world breaking apart the family kind of thing. And there's like this big emotional fight between the daughter and her father at the end of it. It's just, I don't know. It's just really funny because like I'd seen almost like beat for beat. It's all the same emotional beats. And in my opinion, it was done better in Green Lantern because like there's this really great moment where she's fighting her father and that, and like they establish that there's, instead of like family pictures, they have like family holograms and like little Fabergé eggs. And like there's a moment where they're fighting and like they go past the eggs and they like rattle something or whatever, and it just activates all the eggs at once, and you just see like these precious family memories as they're literally fighting to the death, like in the background. So it just kind of it twisted the knife a little harder, and so it didn't make this one hit as well for me.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'll be the contrarian. I think the cutesy style of this one, I mean, it didn't bother me, but I also think it helps the piece. I think opening in the kind of cutesy way it does, with her being like, we're gonna be a real family, and it's all cute, I think that makes it hit harder when those two are now fighting to the death. And like I really like that. I like that we're like having this cutesy opening, and you know it's cute, but like there's, you know, our main character is a former slave, and it ends with them fighting each other with that portrait in the background. And I think the contrast between kind of the cutesiness and the subject matter actually kind of makes it hit harder for me. So I don't know, it just works for me. I really like it.
That's nice.
I don't know if we have anything else to say on that one, but the last...
I like the bunny girl design. It was cute.
I love the bunny girl. I love Locke.
Yeah, it's very, very cute.
Okay, that's all I got.
The last one, this one fucking rules.
Yes, it does.
This one is so fucking good, and it's so tragic, and it made me think of how much I love Rey and Kylo, and potential they have, and I fucking love it, and everything about it is great. No, seriously, this one is really, really good. There is a sort of ebb and flow to the Star Wars universe where it's like, at some point the Sith die out, and then at some point the Jedi die out, and at some point the Sith die out, and it just happens incessantly ad nauseum for the entirety of this franchise. And there are specific inflection points for both, where I feel like when the Sith die out, it almost always makes a Star Wars story that I fucking love. And anytime the Jedi die out, it's the exact opposite, and I do not give a shit. And this is one of those situations where you're in a universe where the dark side has essentially kind of receded and is having this resurgence, and it's all anchored into this family conflict with these doomed lovers, and it very much sort of feels like a spiritual successor to what the sequel trilogy ended up being about. and I love it. I love everything about it. I love all of the characters. I love the tragedy of the end when he fucking like is heartbroken that he kills her, and he's like, fine, I will join you. I love it so much.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
See, this one's also done by Science Saru, who did the Toby one. It's interesting to me, and I'm so excited to talk about this. It's interesting to me that this brought a sequel trilogy connection for you, because to me, I read this as like a almost non-literal Shakespearean retelling of the tragedy of Anakin, and like I love that about it, and it places this emphasis on the inevitability of it all, and it places this emphasis on fate and how like Anakin, or in this case this Jedi, falls because that's the role he has to play in this story, and it's and he could not overcome that no matter how much he wanted to, and I just fucking love it. Like, Akakiri is not getting the love it deserves because it's one of the best ones. So that's really interesting to you that it gives you sequel vibes, because it gives me prequel vibes.
I think that's fair. I think part of what it is I think the main guy just kind of reminds me a bit more of Kylo than he does of Anakin. But no, that's totally fair. And I think part of the strength of that reading is the entire history of Star Wars is just this. It's doomed lovers at the point where one side of the Force is out of balance with the other, and the creation of balance results in some kind of tragedy that puts one force on opposition to the other. I love how mythic this one is. I am legitimately surprised that there is not just like more talk about this, because all of these have varying degrees of quality, and some of them can be very epic. Like, I think the Twins is a very epic kind of story. The Ninth Jedi is a very epic kind of story. But so is this one. And I feel like this one sort of dials that sort of allegorical quality and a statement about Star Wars in a Star Wars thing up to an absurd degree, to the point where the whole thing basically plays like a myth to me. And I love it. It reminds me of that Clone War episode where they're on the planet of the living Force, essentially. This one is really, really good. I love it. I would not necessarily want like a TV series or explaining the backstories and lores of this per se, but if someone wanted to come in and extend this into like a 90-minute movie, I would be so happy.
Fair enough. Yeah, I definitely got more prequel vibes than I did sequel vibes off this one, because it did just, again, the like, oh, she's dying or she's dead and it's my fault, and like I have to turn to the dark side to save her, just felt, obviously it screamed prequels to me a lot more. But yeah, no, I can see the parallel there.
That's my fucking hot take, is that Akakiri did the Fall of Anakin in like 15 minutes better than the entire prequel trilogy.
No, right?
I fucking stand by that. I'm like, this is better than the entirety of the prequel trilogy, and I will fight people. Like, this entire...
Matt is the toxic Star Wars fan who like insists on battling everybody.
I don't like them. I am tired of this topsy-turvy land where we've decided the prequels are good. I'm sorry. Look, I'm getting a little off topic.
Look, all we need to agree on at this point is that Star Wars Visions, Rogue One, and The Last Jedi are the three best Star Wars things to ever come out.
I don't really like Rogue One.
Well, fuck you.
It gets so violent.
No, yeah, this one's really good. I'm sorry if you had more to say, Ian. I apologize. I really like this one.
No, it's just interesting. I'm gonna go against Steve and say Rogue One is just okay. This is just okay. And what was the other one, Steve?
Last Jedi.
Last Jedi.
Okay, Last Jedi is legitimately great.
Last Jedi fucking slaps. I love Last Jedi.
You're 1 for 3.
But yeah, no, this one is really, really good. If you sort of map the mood of how this binge kind of goes, because it doesn't take very long, I think it starts very, very high for me with Tatooine Rhapsody and the Duel. It kind of peters a little bit after that, and then essentially from Ninth Jedi up to this one, I think it stays at a pretty constant high. And on this, I think it's probably the smartest move structurally, because I feel like this is the Star Wars concept distilled into 15 minutes. It's of course the one you want to end on because it's not one that I feel like is particularly experimenting with Star Wars as an idea or trying to make its own statement about it. This is like some filmmaker's vision of, if I had to define the theme of the entirety of the Star Wars saga, it's this short. And it's kind of the thesis statement for the whole thing, and I think it's perfect for the finale.
It's funny, I think part of the reason, and I don't know how much I want to say this, I think part of the reason this one's not getting a lot of attention is because, like, superficially, the art style is very, I could see it being polarizing, because it is kind of a, I don't want to say ugly, but it is not, like, as pretty to look at the other ones, and that's purposeful, and that's with a point. I think the art style is really cool, but I could see someone who's maybe just kind of watching this more casually, not really feeling the vibes that this one's putting out, because it's not quite as high energy, it's got a very muted color palette, it just plays to a different sensibility. So I can maybe
it looks like
for the top. So it's maybe like the Duel and the twins are like, you can share a GIF of that and just be like, how fucking awesome is this? Where it's like Akakiri is like, you need to sit down and talk about this one because it's just it's so good.
it looks like a 90s anime, and I think that's part of why I like the style so much, is that it looks like something that would have played on Toonami when I was a kid.
It does.
It's very, very good, and I love it, and it made me love Star Wars more.
It did. Akakiri, 10 out of 10. Better than the prequels.
Agreed.
Okay, wow. No, you're wrong.
Nah.
I'm sorry, but this doesn't have the death sticks guy, so
I do love the
your
death
argument is
sticks
invalid.
I probably come off as too harsh on the prequels sometimes, and that's because I am.
God.
That's because you're the toxic Star Wars
I
fan.
am. I never got. I don't know. I never got over the prequels. I guess. I don't know.
I completely understand the world we're living in, where we're reevaluating the Matrix sequels as maybe we were too hard on them. That makes sense to me. This idea that the Star Wars prequels are anything but trash does not make sense to me.
And I love them as trash.
Sure.
I'm just not on board with this. Oh, they're actually masterpieces of film.
They're not good. They are not well-made movies. You can like them as much as you want, but they are not well-made movies.
That's kind of where I'm landing on it.
See, this is why we need Alfie in here, because Alfie would be in here. He's like, "No, listen, you don't understand what Lucas was trying to do," and I'll be like, "I don't care what he was trying to do.
10 minutes after it was over.
I don't care what he was trying to do. I care what he did."
Yeah.
No, fuck the prequels. Prequels suck. Anyway,
Yeah.
Damn. We're all the old Star Wars fans. That's us.
Not even 30.
Not yet.
But yeah,
Give it time.
Yeah,
Give it time.
give it-
You'll get old soon.
I know. I'll be
It's
28
gonna happen.
in October, and I'm not excited about it.
hey, I'm
Oh,
27
okay.
in October.
Yeah, boy.
Oof.
But yeah,
Old boys.
We're clearly devolving into prequel discourse, so that's probably a good time to call it.
So, Steve, is your favorite of these still actual favorite, The Duel?
I think so. It's hard not to just get fucking hyped about the Duel. If I was like seriously ranking these, I think the Duel, Akakiri, and Ninth Jedi are probably the best ones for me. Then they kind of get sporadic after that. The Elder would be pretty high up, and I think The Village Bride is my least favorite. But in general, I don't think any of these are in any way bad, and I think they all just kind of hit at different moods, which is probably the best thing about it, is I feel like I have a variety of things to say and things I like and dislike about all of these. It's nice that it feels so refreshing, to kind of, not to be toxic Star Warsy, but to kind of put it in perspective. The Last Jedi came out, and I'm like, oh my god, I love Star Wars so much. Rise of Skywalker came out, and I'm like, oh my god, I can't believe I ever loved Star Wars. You know, like, it was a very much a flash moment for me, where I'm like,
Yeah.
the Rise of Skywalker comes out, and this is a movie where I just feel like it's apologizing for ever taking any sort of risks with your imagination and your emotions in any way possible. And it just makes me feel very, very cynical about the franchise, not to mention the entirety of trying to discuss Star Wars online. And so, anytime Star Wars comes up after the Rise of Skywalker, I am just like insanely put off. I just don't care about Star Wars after The Rise of Skywalker. And then this came along. And then this was like, Steve, remember what you were 15 years ago when you were fucking 12 years old and playing around with your lightsabers in your Darth Vader costume. This is what it's all about. And I'm like, yes, this is exactly what it's all about. This is the fun and the majesty and the epic storytelling, and it's just great, and I love it.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. I definitely, and again, I apologize for being a toxic Star Wars fan. I'm not trying to turn this into shitting on parts of Star Wars I don't like. But yes, after Rise of Skywalker came out, I felt a noticeable, like, wow, this is, I'm not sure this is for me at this moment in time. And I was still interested in Mando, but I thought Mando Season 2 was worse than the first season, so it was just kind of a downhill thing. And then this came out, and holy shit, Star Wars is the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
It's alright. Like, I don't know. I guess I need to watch Rise of Skywalker a second time. Because I still haven't seen it more than the one time in theaters. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
Honestly, I should probably give it another try, but...
Yeah. Alright. Well, I think that'll do it. We'll go ahead and do a rating for just the entirety of it. I'll give Star Wars Visions 3 out of 5. Cool flips off a motor hover bike thing over a frozen lake before doing the smart thing and cutting someone else down because force reaction time. Yeah, there we go.
I will give it 5 out of 5 umbrella lightsabers.
Stole mine. I will give it 5 out of 5. Fucking
microphone lightsabers.
Yeah, microphone lightsabers. Fucking 5 out of 5 Star Wars drums and electric guitars. Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, 5 out of 5.
Okay. I should have mentioned this back in the thing, but I'm gonna just throw another stupid complaint at Tatooine Rhapsody. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't like that they didn't invent a style of music. Which I know is like a completely unfair criticism because that's probably way too much to ask for a little fucking vignette or even like an entire movie, but I don't know, it bothers me.
Yeah, I don't know, like the idea of just like guitars and drums and rock music existing in Star Wars is admittedly potentially a little jarring just because like that's not really what we're used to. But even like Jedi Fallen Order, like Cal is listening to some like pseudo rock music at the beginning, and like rock is kind of shorthand for the music of the rebellious spirit. So I don't know, it hits for me, but I can understand how that does feel a little strange.
Okay, wait. So to that point, and then we'll wrap up, I promise. But to that point, Star Wars has this weird history in the prequel era where anytime something weird or bizarre is happening, or they're in like a strange seedy underbelly area, they just throw in fucking Indian music in the background. Like, nonchalantly with full-blown Hindi lyrics and everything, and it's the most distracting thing in the world to me because I'm just like, why the fuck are these spice merchants listening to this song from this 60s movie I know? And so to replace that with just punk music makes me a lot happier.
That's fair.
Fair. That's fair. I'm gonna go with not many people know Indian music, so it sounds vaguely alien.
Not many, except for the 1.8 billion that live in India.
Yeah, but they don't watch Star Wars, and they're not even people because they're brown.
There are more people who have seen Star Wars in India than live in the United States, I promise you.
You say that, but you can't prove it. And even if you can't prove it, I'm still going to disagree. So, which one of us is the real winner now?
Apparently not me.
Welcome to debates on the internet. All right. Well, okay, so next week we'll start off Horror Month proper. It's Alfie's turn, so we'll bug Alfie to pick a horror movie for us. It'll probably be something ridiculous. He's going to be like, oh, this episode of Dragon Ball was selling it. He's kind of like a slasher villain or something. It'll be Alfie.
If I get to pick something, I'm going to make us watch Malignant.
Yes, I keep meaning to watch Malignant.
Oh my god, you know what? I'm not gonna turn this into a review of *Malignant*, but
God damn it!
if I get to pick, I'm gonna pick that.
Okay, alright. Everyone, thanks so much for watching. Until next time, I'm the Philosopher.
I'm the Raylo erotica lover, specifically.
And I am the exile on Star Wars Missions planets.
I'm trying to see how many people
Alright.
I can piss off. How many Star Wars fans?
And we are your geeky gentlemen, and we will be discussing things. I don't understand. You can't be a Raylo stan and not like Rise of Skywalker. That's bullshit.
Yeah, you can. They killed Ben.